Good morning and welcome to Ed's World, where it's always morning, even in the afternoon. I am your host, Jay Edgar, and I'm joined once again by the wonderful John. John, welcome back to Ed's World.
Yeah, thanks for having me again.
It's always a pleasure to have you over here.
Oh,
How was your day today?
it was pretty good. Just worked. That was about it.
I finally got the new tires I've been saying I needed to get forever in a day.
Yeah, yeah. New tires are important for sure.
Well, I bought that truck with bad tires on it to begin with, and everyone was telling me the day I brought it home that I was going to need new tires, but I never
Hmm.
did, and I got 63 miles or 63,000 miles rather out of the ones that were on it when I bought it, so I can't complain about anything.
How bald were they when you turned them in?
You know the smooth tires that they put on the back of drag cars when you're down at the track?
Yeah.
Yeah, those have slightly more tread on them than what I had.
Oh man, it was definitely time then.
Yeah, it was, but it was good. Well, we got
Yeah.
a lot to talk about here, and some stuff that didn't make the cut for everything out here. Now, the Al Baghdadi thing, I do not know enough about that to talk intelligently about that, but I'm pretty pumped about the fact that it happened.
What was it? I
When
missed
they
what you said.
when they killed that ISIS leader over in this
Oh,
over the
right, right,
weekend.
right. The austere religious scholar. Right.
Yes. Oh yes, and everything that came along with that, and it
Oh
looks
yeah.
like amid everything else that we originally thought about Republican or Democrats versus Republicans, and who has to answer for their crimes and who doesn't. Katie Hill has resigned.
Yeah.
Amazingly enough, I didn't think that was going to happen,
Yeah.
but it
Can't wait to
happened.
talk about that.
Yeah, yeah. Again, I don't know enough about what was going on there, and I couldn't really put that onto the list. But we do have plenty of other stuff on the list today. So,
Awesome.
looks like we are going to be talking about the Trump speech that happened earlier on in the week, and I've got that queued up in the video. So we'll talk a bit about that, the ceasefire, and how this is a bad thing for Trump. And we'll talk a little bit about al Baghdadi into that because it seems like that's part of the timeline. But again, I don't know enough about what happened to talk about that intelligently. The
Sorry.
impeachment is drawing to a close, I think. I think we're going to see the end of this pretty soon, but I don't know. We'll see what comes out of that. But we'll talk about what's going on there, including the fact that Republicans stormed a closed door hearing earlier on in the week.
Hmm.
The House interrogated Mark Zuckerberg over his Libra coin, and I've got some video about that. But from what it looked like as well, it turned out to be campaign ads for Democrats as they work to get their sound bites in. So we'll talk a bit about that. 2020 is on the rise, and we're actually just about to the year 2020 at this point. So we'll be talking a little bit about what's going on in the polls, and we'll talk about whether or not we think Hillary will actually get into the polls or not. I'll close out the show today talking about the James Younger story out of Texas, what's happened there, how this has been ongoing for a couple months, but it kind of fell out of the news, and what we think is going to happen in the end of this. It's going to be all of this and more over on Ed's World. Thanks for taking the time to watch this over on YouTube, D Live, Twitch, Facebook, Periscope, and if you can't catch this live, we can also check this out over on BitChute on demand and on YouTube on demand as well. Thanks for listening to this back on the audio platforms. Once again, if you can't catch this live, you can always go over and catch this on the audio platforms. We are on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher. And if you're over on iTunes, leave us that 5-star rating and a good review. That always helps us move up the charts. Ed's World is proudly partnered with the Freedom Scoop Media Group. Our merch shop is open. You can see wonderful things like this fantastic mug over there for Freedom Scoop.
So,
Oh, yeah, we have that mug over there too. It's a good thing we have a live thing.
that's
We've
right.
got this unashamed Second Amendment supporter t shirt over there. Or, well, I didn't hit the transition there. Or, if that's not really your thing and you really want to torture yourself a little bit more, we've got the Generational Gap t shirt over on the merch shop as well. And we've got our wonderful
Right.
model actually wearing one. So if you want to go over there and check those things out, it's over on freedomscoop.com. It's going to be linked
Right.
down in the description below. And I promise I won't tell anybody that you used that promo code JEdgar at checkout when you bought your Gen Gap T-shirt.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I mean, we have our own, but I'd rather use yours.
I promise I won't tell.
All right, good.
After the lengthy introduction, you've been here a couple times, but
That's right.
there's always months in between every time guests are in, so life changes every once in a while. So, and we have new audience members as well. So, John, tell us a bit
Fair enough.
about yourself.
Yeah, like Ed was saying, I'm one half of the generational gap. My co-host and I talk about news and politics, philosophy when we can. We like to have debates, especially with each other. Um, and yeah, we do some charity once in a while, which is a lot of fun. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
I believe you've got a charity stream coming up yet this week, do you not?
Yes. Yep. Thursday, Halloween night. We're doing it from 9 p.m. to midnight Eastern time. We're going to be benefiting St. Jude's Children's Hospital this time.
And I actually took the day off work, so I'm going to be there as well at some point.
Oh, awesome.
I don't know how we're gonna. We'll talk about it off mic a bit probably
Yeah,
about how we're gonna organize it for who's gonna be on when. But I'm off all day, so I'll be ready to be there as well.
perfect. Yeah, we'll definitely get with you then.
So for our new
Absolutely.
audience members as well, why don't you tell us how you actually got into the alternative media?
Mm. Yeah, I had wanted to start a podcast for quite a while. It was originally going to be like a history podcast. Then I like the guy that I was going to be, co-hosting with dropped out, and so I eventually found Robert, who is my roommate's cousin, and he would come over to the house, every couple of weeks, and we would have some great, political discussions, and found out that we don't agree on a lot of things. I think we agree a lot more now than we did back then. I think he's been convinced over the last year and a half of us doing a podcast.
Hmm.
Um, but I mean, we even still have disagreements. But I figured that would be good podcasting. I figured other people might want to hear, us bicker at each other. So, so yeah, we I approached him about starting a podcast, and he was completely in. And here we are.
And you've been doing some other streams lately too. I've been getting interested in. I have not had a chance because, Sunday's girlfriend time. I
Sure.
didn't get a chance to listen to your French Revolution podcast, but it's on my
Yeah.
listening list. But how did you and
Awesome.
Steven decide to get into doing that? That's interesting to
Um,
me.
yeah, I'm not really sure how it happened. Um, it was just kind of something that I guess we were talking in a different stream. I think it was one of the times I was a guest on his podcast, and we had mentioned something about like European history, and he asked me if I wanted to do a podcast entirely about European history, and I was like, yeah, absolutely. And so we did that one, and then he asked if we both kind of came to the agreement that we wanted to do it every month, and so now we've done I think four now, 3 or 4,
Okay.
and so yeah, that's really good. And so we just did the French Revolution.
Hmm.
Time before that, we did Ireland, all about Ireland stream, which was really really good. That was my favorite one so far.
Yeah, I just listened to that the other day, so
Awesome. What'd you think?
it was good. I learned a lot there. I didn't really understand how Ireland fit into everything, and I don't necessarily understand it as well. I know a little bit more about the leprechaun idea now, but I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
it was good. It was factual. I really liked listening to that. And if you go over and check out on freedomscoop.com, you'll find Stephen Ignoramus's channel. It's
Um,
broadcast over on that one, so go ahead and check that out as well.
awesome. Yeah. But yeah, so we did French Revolution yesterday, and then next month we're doing Napoleonic Wars. So make sure you go for that one, 'cause that's my favorite subject of all time. So
Hmm.
make sure you check that one out.
A short man that thinks he wants to rule the world.
Well, here's a little taste of the podcast for next month. Is that he was not actually that short. He was about average size for a Frenchman at that time.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Well, we've talked about history here. Are you ready to talk about what's going on in modern times?
Absolutely.
So we're gonna start out. I'm gonna check the chat to see if I've got anything. Doesn't look like I've got any chat in here. I do want to point out if you are new to this show and you are watching this over on Facebook, we don't have any live chat accessibility on from Facebook onto the Restream bot. So if you want to head on over to Twitch or YouTube or DLive, we would be able to see your questions and comments over there. So the Donald came out early on Tuesday and made a speech. He made the speech talking about how we are over and done with everything over in Syria, after the fact that we were going to completely destroy the region and Syria was going to be no more and it was just going to be Turkey 2.0. So let's start out by talking about or having a listen to that speech and seeing what he had to say. I pulled about the first minute of it, but I encourage you to go over and find the full speech and have a listen. But let's see.
Are we gonna
We're
listen
going to
to the whole
watch that,
thing
right?
first?
Well, it's just going to be the first minute I've got here. So, oops, I'm on the wrong tab.
My fellow Americans, I greet you this week from the White House to announce a major breakthrough toward achieving a better future for Syria and for the Middle East. It's been a long time. Over the last 5 days, you have seen that a ceasefire that we established along Syria's border has held, and it's held very well, beyond most expectations. Early this morning, the government of Turkey informed my administration that they would be stopping combat and their offensive in Syria and making the ceasefire permanent, and it will indeed be permanent. However, you would also define the word permanent in that part of the world as somewhat questionable. We all understand that, but I do believe it will be permanent. I've therefore instructed the Secretary of the Treasury to lift all sanctions imposed on October 14th in response to Turkey's original offensive moves against the Kurds in Syria's northeast border region. So the sanctions will be lifted unless something happens that we're not happy with.
And yeah, that's a good message to have here, and especially given the fact
Yeah.
that the first thing that everybody said was the fact that, as soon as the ceasefire is over, Turkey is just going to wail on Syria. And I want to
Yeah.
point out one of the things right away in that speech was the fact that given the history of the region, now you're history minded, as we mentioned before, and I mean, it's not hard to see the fact that the Middle East has been in a state of constant warfare ever since Abraham was walking around, and possibly
Yeah.
even before that.
Ever since there were two people over there, they were at war. Yeah. Absolutely.
Ever since Cain killed Abel,
Right. Yeah.
the Middle East has been at war. So I mean, something's going to happen again at some point here. And I know Turkey was not really geopolitically ready to go take on Syria for any purpose whatsoever. I know they say that Erdogan wants to recreate the Byzantine Empire, but if you look at the region and the fact that Iran is immediately on the other side of Turkey and is just as war hungry as anybody else in the world right now, why would you split your troops and try and take a relatively meaningless target at this point? I mean, what does Syria have to offer?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I don't know if they have. I don't know what kind of resources they have over there. To be honest, um, that would be my only guess. I mean, the only reason I could think of having bases there would be as a buffer for Iran.
Well, it's completely on the other side of the country as Iran, but I mean,
Yeah,
there's always Israel too, because you have that gets you one step closer to Israel if you don't have to go through Syria and Lebanon to get there.
yeah, but would you think anyone would risk attacking Israel?
Oh, I think everybody over there at this point would risk attacking Israel if they had the chance.
Oh man, yeah, maybe. Because I mean, at that point, you would incur the entire wrath of the U.S. military. I mean, I don't think it would be a good idea for anyone unless they have a death wish.
Well, I mean, regardless, this is something. I mean, what did we say? What did we hear when this all first started out? Well, Trump just handed Syria over to Turkey, which means he handed it over to Russia. He's in Russia's back pocket again, which that
Right.
is this whole thing with the Ukraine. I just kind of proved that that's not the point. I don't.
Yeah.
But regardless, I know when we were first hearing about this, Tulsi Gabbard brought out a good point of Trump ceded X amount of land over to Turkey from Syria that it wasn't his to give, and how would we feel if Syria came over and gifted California over to Mexico? And
I'd be fine with it. Do it.
yeah, I was going to say most of flyover country would be absolutely fine with that at this
Yeah,
point.
absolutely do it. They can have it. It might help Mexico out, It's a
Maybe.
win-win. Isn't it like the eighth largest economy in the world or something like that?
I think it's the seventh.
California? Is it seventh?
California, I
there
think
you
it's
go.
like the seventh. The last time I checked.
There you go.
World economies have changed in the last few years, but yeah, the last time I looked, it was like the seventh largest economy in the world, which is ridiculous
Yeah.
given how much they owe the federal government.
Well, yeah.
But
I
if you
mean, the
go
federal
back,
government owes everyone else, so
that's
it's
true.
kind of all just we owe everyone everything, and they owe us everything, and it's just that. Yeah, that whole thing is a mess.
But I mean, going back over to Syria and Turkey,
Yeah.
is we're achieving peace in the Middle East, which is something we've been talking about since I was a kid and even before. I mean, part of what's going on between Turkey and Syria right now that dates back to policies that were put in place by Jimmy Carter.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, I don't think we're still going to see peace in the Middle East. Maybe the best we can hope for is, like even Trump was saying, permanent peace is questionable. you know, um, I think we can expect it for a little while, at
mhm.
least in that area. But I mean, there's always going to be someone wanting to kill someone else over there. Country to country, obviously.
Well, and I don't know enough right now to opine about what's going on because I haven't read any of the news stories of the last couple days preparing for the show. But I listened to a bit of Rush this morning too, and immediately after the ceasefire came in, Trump went in and he bagged al-Baghdadi, which has been an ISIS warlord from the beginning, and he dropped a shit ton of bombs over on Syria or Syrian ISIS fighters.
Right.
As soon as we had our troops out of the region, and as soon as we had the Kurds out of the region, it was just boom, bomb them.
Just leveled it, the whole area.
Yeah. So, and from what I understand, when we were thinking about what happened with al-Baghdadi, I mean, this was something that's been weeks in advance, which I think, would go onto the timeline of what we saw going on with the Syria and Turkey conflict and the ceasefire that was going on there. So, I mean, was this a part of a bigger plan that the American people didn't know about and the left immediately wanted to blame Trump for?
Yeah, I mean, I don't. You would think that he wouldn't tell everyone that he's pulling people out, but yeah. Actually, no, maybe that is a good idea.
Well,
'Cause
yeah,
then
because
that
they're
makes
going to
them
go and flood
bolder.
into the area.
Yeah, that's true. That's genius if that is true.
Yeah.
But you can never really tell with
No,
Trump
absolutely
whether he
not.
just bumbled his way into something good or if he meant to. You know?
Yeah, that
Hmm.
man has got a horseshoe up his ass. I will tell you that.
Yeah, he does.
I
Oh
don't.
man.
I legitimately have no idea how much of this is actual planned and how much of this is it just happened to fall right.
Right.
And
Yeah,
I've
they
been
just kind
saying
of took
that since the
advantage of
beginning
the
of the election.
situation. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I remember saying before he got elected that he's trying not to get elected. He just knew he just had to run, and then kind of fumbled his way to victory. I mean, yeah, because it seemed like towards the end of his election, or the election, that he was trying to not be elected.
Yeah.
He was doing his damnedest, and it didn't work out for him.
So the last thing that I want to ask on this, and we have to reach back into our leftist states of mind because you and I both came from the Democrat Party originally.
Yeah.
How does this become a bad thing? How do they spin this?
What the al-Baghdadis did?
Well, the ceasefire is where I wanted to go with that because I
Oh,
know we've got to read more on the al-Baghdadi thing and all of the obituaries that came out of that.
um, I'm guessing that he's giving enough time for Turkey to fully mobilize its military. Um, get it up to the border so that when they decide the time's right, they can just flood in like they were originally supposed to. There's that. There's time for Russians to supply the Turkish military even more. Um, hmm.
By Russians, do you mean actual Russians or do you mean Tulsi Gabbard and Jill Stein?
Yeah, Tulsi Gabbard and Jill Stein, they're going over there and delivering weapons. um, yeah, I mean those are the things that I could think of. I guess I haven't been in that mindset in quite a while. I was never like a anti-Trumper, like a never Trumper, so I
Huh.
don't have that mindset. Yeah,
No, I
I mean,
understand that entirely.
yeah, I didn't vote for him originally, but I was never like, just the world's gonna end if Trump is elected. That's ridiculous.
Well, and we also sit back to the idea that all that everybody was saying when we went into Iraq back in 2003 was all we're saying is give peace a chance. I actually
Yeah.
witnessed a peaceful protest of people chanting that in a college.
Hmm. Yeah, I was 13 back then, so I didn't remember much. I was playing video games, and
No, I understand entirely.
that's about it. Yeah.
About then, it was probably Final Fantasy X because
No, I
that
was
was
more of an
brand new.
RTS.
What's that?
I was more of an RTS kind of guy.
Huh.
Yeah, Age of Empires and Total War and all that.
Well, let's check in with the live chat here, and then we'll
Yeah.
go and talk about impeachment here. Just Waka says, "Hey Ed, death by cognitive dissonance. I love that screen name, by the way. Nice
It's a
discussion
good
to hear
one.
on my way home. Thanks, you two." And
And thank
Israel,
you.
go ahead.
Right. Oh no, I was just saying, and thank you. You
Yeah,
said
thanks for
thanks.
watching. Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, let's talk about impeachment. And the first thing that I want to bring up when we're talking about this is, and I'm going to actually grill you on what I tried to get you to talk about on your show the other night. But first, I want to
Oh,
talk
okay.
about what we were talking about in the live chat before, and that is the fact that we still have no vote to fund the impeachment inquiry right now. I know we talked
Mhm.
extensively about that, Robert, yourself, Seawall, and I, but I mean, let's take this just a bit further. And, you know, what? First off, do they have anything? Yes or no?
Uh, I don't think so. I don't think so. I mean, like we saw with the Mueller report, all they did was just uncover normal Washington corruption, mostly by Democrats, but
Hmm.
it was mostly just regular Washington corruption and nothing with Trump himself. And so I think we're going to see the same thing.
Now, the question that I really want to ask on this is do we actually need an inquiry? And this is something I've been kind of trying to pick fights on Twitter about as well is do we need an inquiry? I mean, no matter what they find, if they find that Trump built hospitals with Ukraine aid, that he helped cure cancer, and he helped fund $17 million in charity, they're still going to vote to impeach. They're still going to vote to have that statistic. So, do we actually even need to
Yeah.
have an inquiry at all? Why don't they just hold a
Well,
vote?
so I think it's show. I think that it's trying to show that they're doing their job without actually having to do anything.
Okay.
So a lot of these, especially the freshman, Congress people, they got elected based on we're going to impeach Trump. So showing that they're in the process of it keeps them ready to be reelected in in 2020, right? Yeah,
Yeah, everybody's up in 2020 in the House,
yeah,
so.
yeah. So I mean, there's that, and there's also the timing. If
Mhm.
they can drag it out long enough until it's around election season, then they can hold that over his head the whole time, being like, oh, he's under impeachment. He's under impeachment. It started too soon, it'll be out of the news cycle.
Right.
what they want to do is they want to have the timing just right so that it's at the peak when we go into elections.
But why won't they have the inquiry vote, though? Is what, I'm not talking about
Yeah,
actually having the statistic at this point. Why not have the
right,
inquiry
right.
funded so
No,
they can actually fund these closed door hearings that they're having? And we'll be talking about that in just a second, too, is the ridiculousness of the closed door part of it. But
right. I mean, yeah, like the only thing I can think of is just trying to drag it out. So they're not doing the vote yet, I imagine, because they don't have the support yet.
all you need is a simple majority. And there's enough. It's part of the Democrat platform to hate Trump at this point. They've got
Wait,
a simple majority.
doesn't it move to the Senate afterwards? Or
No,
no?
that's just to fund the inquiry.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, then, yeah, that I'm not sure then.
But they, in spite of the fact that they haven't voted to actually have the inquiry here, they are having subpoenaed closed door meetings with key figures
Hmm.
in the Trump administration and key ambassadors right now. So and I didn't catch who this was that they were talking to at the time, but it was on Wednesday they were having a closed door meeting, and several Republicans actually stormed the chamber that they were having the meeting in, did a sit in, and this is the funniest part is they sat down and they ate pizza on the floor while they were.
Oh man, yeah.
And the only
Washington
thing
is
I can
just their
think.
children.
Oh yeah.
Their children.
Well, the only thing I can think of when I talk about this is the idea of why are we having closed door meetings on any of this at this point?
Yeah, yeah,
Everything
absolutely.
was out in the open during Whitewater and during Watergate. Everything was right out in the open.
Yeah,
But
that
for whatever reason, they feel they need to have everything behind closed doors, and nobody can go in and cross examine or question from the other side. And
right. Yeah, I mean they're just trying to find something. They're throwing the whole, you know, just throwing everything against the walls, trying to see if something sticks. And so far it hasn't. And I don't know, maybe they're embarrassed about it and just trying to find something behind closed doors.
yeah.
So that way, if they fail, no one knows.
Well, and the thing that goes along with this, and I mean, it's the same thing with the Mueller report that was unlimited scope, that he could go in and find everything. That's why we found out about Stormy Daniels, and that's why Michael
Hmm.
Cohen had to go to jail. And I mean, that's why everything else happened the way that it did. Was I mean, this has some serious Soviet ties to it. It is not a demonstration of justice or anything. This is you bring me the man, and I will find you the crime.
Yeah, 100%.
And I keep railing on this when I make my solo videos about things like this. And it is a scary thought to me, the idea that this is continuing to happen, because if they're doing this to the member of the highest office of the land, what chance do we stand on the floor?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Especially once they've disarmed us and everything.
Well, and
What
that's
chance do you have?
well, and that you go a step beyond that as well when they can do this to us, or they can do it to the president rather. You bring us the man that and we'll
Hmm.
find the crime. What's going to happen to the 63 million people that voted for Trump? Because
Oh yeah,
especially with Kamala Harris's hard on for putting people in prison, that
Kamala Harris.
yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah,
I mean, what are they going to do to the rest of us? I mean, we gave them Trump to deal with. Are they going to take revenge on the rest of us as well? I've heard people murmur about that, and that scares the hell out of me because I think they've got the capability to do it mentally.
I mean, I think they might. I don't know. I think they'd be more likely to just kind of ostracize people. Like, I don't think there'll be like a gulag or anything like that. I think it'd be more likely that if you have like a MAGA hat on your purchases from your bank, you can't get a job somewhere or you'll get fired or something like that. That's probably more likely. I don't think that's
Well,
likely
hell, they're
either.
doing that now.
Yeah, in a way, yeah. That's more like a Twitter mob, though. That's not coming from the government.
Yes, but who's leading the Twitter mob?
Yeah, yeah, that's fair.
And you don't think with a society right now that seems to have no problem with throwing milkshakes at somebody with concrete in them that's not the next step? It's this whole next step mentality that really kind of scares me more than anything.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, it's pretty clear that they're not operating from a point of principle, and so it's the ends justifying the means, and they don't have a clear end. So it's just means all the way.
Well, the clear end, I think, may be putting all Trump supporters in prison for denying climate change.
Yeah, well, those are one and the same, aren't they? That's what I hear, at least.
Yeah. Did you watch my video on Kamala Harris putting people in prison?
Um, I don't know. Maybe I know. I just watched your Boston banning the word bitch.
Yeah, that was a huge video.
Yeah.
That had like 70 hits in the first hour over on BitChute. I've never
Oh
seen
wow.
anything like that before.
Wow.
It
Yeah,
was
that's crazy.
it was kind of suppressed a little bit on YouTube, but that's to be expected.
Naturally,
Prompting.
yeah. Right. How dare you want to say the word bitch? Come on, Ed.
Yeah. Oh man, I didn't want to talk about this in the podcast just because I know it's going to go off on a complete tangent. But I mean, I lived there. I know what their society is like.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was talking to my girlfriend about this last night too because she was just completely shocked over the fact that this was even happening. And I think about this to my, is this going back to the idea of political wrong thinking, throwing people in the gulag? I mean, is that a crime? Because they do have the option to do 6 months in jail on this. Is that the crime to stick to somebody when you can't get anything else to stick to them?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. There's got to be something. I mean, they even have, something like disturbing the peace or something like that. That they already have that,
Hmm.
that they can stick you with if they can't get anything else on you. I don't know how often that's used for that, but it certainly could be. Seems exploitable.
Well, I mean, they got Capone on tax evasion.
Yeah. Well, I mean, government doesn't like competition.
I
So
like that.
he's making way too much money and not giving over his fair share, as
Hmm.
they say.
Now, the last thing I want to talk about on this topic here is the fact that the DOJ has officially moved the investigation into the Mueller report into a criminal investigation, which means that they have subpoena power and the power to raise funds to make this investigation a thing, which tells me first off that they have something,
Mm, yeah, I mean, they
or they
think they
have a
have
lead, I
something,
should say. I
maybe.
don't know if they have something, but they have a lead that they think that they can find the end to.
Right. But I mean, they thought that with Russia. Although I'm not always convinced that
Well,
they
this is the
actually
opposite
did think
side
of
at this
something.
point.
Mm,
This is
hmm.
Barr's DOJ turning around and going
Yeah.
back against the Democrats on this, and he's a bit more poised than everybody else.
Interesting. I haven't heard about this.
Yeah, it happened just as I was turning the camera off last week. They changed it over into a DOJ inquiry into an actual criminal investigation.
Hmm.
So now they are looking into, and I guess there have been some document dumps, but I mean, the mainstream media isn't going to talk about any of that.
Yeah.
I was actually half expecting there to be a mass shooting today because of the document dumps.
Right.
Because doesn't it just
Yeah.
seem to happen like that?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Does seem to happen like that. It's a crazy world right now, man.
Well, and the fact of the matter, I mean, there are mass shootings all the time in this country.
Yeah.
It's a terrible fact of life, but they only make the news when there's something that they need to hide.
Yeah. Well, that's when they send them into a school or something, or a movie theater.
So, since you haven't read up on, what do you think that they would have if they're moving this into, like I say, it just seems like they would have a lead now that they think they can find an end to. What do you think that would be if they're looking into the? I know they've
Oh.
got the Stroke and Page thing, but I mean,
I mean,
those
it's
two are
got to
never going to see
be.
jail time.
Yeah. I mean, it's just got to be money. That's the only thing I can think of. Money sent to the wrong person at the wrong time. Um, that's about it. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you think this
Money.
could be another instance of something where we don't necessarily have anything, but they're going to try and, or that they have something, but it's something like tax evasion to try and bring somebody in that's, another Capone deal on the other direction.
Yeah,
They've got something relatively minor, but they think that they can bring some justice to somebody who otherwise wouldn't see a day.
it's possible. Yeah, yeah, it's very possible. And I'm being informed that we talked about this at the Barr investigation in chat on Friday. I guess on my show. I don't remember that. That was what 3 days ago. I mean, come on. um, Barr is the adult in the room. He and Durham are working hard and quiet. Yeah, no, this is going to be really interesting. No matter what, no matter where it comes from, no matter what happens with it.
Yeah, and I mean, we are going to have to search really hard too to go and find any information because this is going to be something that's going to be
Yeah.
suppressed instantly, and you know it as well as I do.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, these are, yeah, you have to go and find the stuff yourself, or, I mean, I'm sure I could ask one of my fabulous listeners to send me something, but yeah, it's not going to be in the mainstream news or probably even a lot of the, what are they, the blog journalists as they are.
Hey, we're all blog journalists.
Do not call me a journalist, sir. Do not insult me like that.
Well,
um,
and I like what Midget B said in this because I'm looking back at the chat now. I don't usually watch the chat during the stream, but except for just the between the two topics. But Midget B brought up a good point that I mean, if they can illegally surveil and set up the president, which they did, and that's been proven at this point,
yeah,
what do they do to us every damn day? And
yeah,
that's a serious question to bring up. Is they can do this to the highest office in the land. I mean, you have to physically go in and disconnect the speakerphone microphone in your phone to not have it listen in on you, which I've
yeah,
done, and I advise you to do the same.
yeah, damn. Oh, yeah.
So they've got all of this sitting out here, and the Patriot Act made it legal, which that came up for a vote this past week too.
Oh, yeah, it's good. And it was renewed, wasn't it?
It was, but I
Yeah,
don't know if it's been renewed or not. I know Rand Paul was filibustering it at the last I noticed it.
good.
But yeah, I don't know if it has passed or if it's still in filibuster stage. Notice I
The
didn't
funny
say if
thing
it has
is,
failed because I know how the government is.
oh, yeah, yeah. It's not going to fail. But wasn't our man Kavanaugh part of that? The
Yes,
Patriot Act? Yeah.
yes, he
Notice
was.
how that didn't come up at all during his hearings.
Well, that
Notice
was
how that
something that they
didn't.
like.
Right. That was something that both sides liked. And so just going to be quiet about that. Putting a someone who's got a big problem with the Fourth Amendment on the Supreme Court.
Actually, I'm gonna make a note to myself to look at this off mic here because I do believe I heard something about Republican questioning him that brought that up, but I can't confirm or deny that at this point. So I'm
Because
gonna
I mean,
look into.
I listened to the whole thing,
Okay.
but it's possible I missed that because I mean they had like what 5 minutes or something like that,
Yeah.
and it was like a 7 hour, 8 hour thing. So maybe I missed it, but it certainly wasn't talked about.
No, it's gonna be a question that's gonna go up, that's gonna get answered, that's gonna get finished out, and then the mainstream media is gonna forget.
Yep.
Well, I'm gonna make my official check of the live chat here. So let's see what we've got here. I know I talked about Midget B's um, point there, that the
Yeah.
surveillance point.
It's a really good point.
Looks like Midget B actually does have some videos and articles that he's going to share in Discord, so I'm definitely looking forward to that.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, let's talk about Libra, the cryptocurrency that nobody should have. And if you are thinking about buying Libra, stop, put it into Bitcoin.
Yeah. No thanks. I don't trust Facebook already. Why would
Yeah.
I trust them with that?
Well, and
With
I
my
mean, Styx is bringing up really awesome points when it comes to Libra as well. The idea of the fact that a company that can deplatform you for thinking wrongly is going to be handling the currency. And I have reason to believe, especially given the fact that we had the hearing that we had this week, that they are
Mhm.
actually planning on taking some time and, doing something with the Federal Reserve with Libra. And that bothers me.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's some Revelations level crap right there. Nobody can buy or
Yeah,
sell unless they are approved by the government if they have the mark of the beast.
yeah, that is it's absolutely scary,
We all thought it
absolutely
was going to be
terrifying.
a barcode tattooed on the back of our neck, but
Or a microchip was the last one I heard.
yeah.
Subdermal microchip. Nope, just gonna be your wallet.
Did you hear that they're planning on microchipping mentally ill people?
Really?
I
I did
saw
not hear
one
that.
article on that this past week, and that's another one too. It's if you are deemed mentally ill just for 1 second, now you've got a microchip in you that they can, or an RFID chip that they can track you forever on.
My God, that is, yeah, that's absolutely terrifying.
Man,
'Cause I
1984 was
mean,
not meant to be an instruction manual, but oh my God, is it ever
yeah,
becoming one?
it's a few years late, but holy shit. Oh my God, yeah. Yeah, that's fucking scary. Yeah, because I mean, now they have, the term for mentally ill, like what qualifies mentally ill, is so loose that it could be practically anyone at some point in time.
Isn't the definition for mentally ill anybody who wants to carry a gun to defend himself?
You cut out right there.
I said, isn't the term for mentally ill, or the definition rather for mentally ill, anybody who wants to carry a gun to defend himself?
Yeah, basically. Yeah, anyone who doesn't believe that the government should do everything for us,
Yeah.
mentally ill.
No, I sense it's kind of similar to the idea of white supremacy, and I responded on Twitter to the freckled redhead. I think was the one that put it up that she was complaining about the fact that somebody had called her a white supremacist and asking how she could be a white supremacist, and I replied, "Well, you are white and you talk about liberty, ergo, white supremacist."
I think I saw that one. Yeah, yeah. Oh man. Yeah, I mean that is how it is now.
Anyway, going back to this House hearing here, so Robot Zuckerberg went back over to the House of Representatives to answer questions that they had about the Libra currency. Now, I've listened to a few bites about any of this, and I have yet to hear anybody, except for AOC, oddly enough, question him about Libra itself, even though she devolved that over into something else. From what I saw from the few clips that I was able to see and hear, and it's mysteriously hard to find any clips on this anymore. I think I was actually pretty lucky to find the AOC clip that I did,
Mm.
but this mostly devolved into a situation of people trying to find sound bites for their next congressional run, whether they go onto the Senate or stay in the House of Representatives, rather than
Yeah,
actually talking about currency, cryptocurrency, and what effect it would have on the economy.
yeah. Funny thing about that when you were talking about how it's hard to find the clips,
Hmm.
I was actually in about 3 hours into it. It was like a 7 hour thing. I was listening to it at work,
Hmm.
and just in the middle of it, it cut out, and it had been taken down for copyright. So I got about 3 hours into it, and
Yeah, how was it?
it was dry and boring, and just it was garbage.
Who was it that was asking? Did you get to hear the clip about the transsexuals? How many transsexuals work at Facebook? Because that's the
Oh
one I
yeah,
was trying to
yeah.
find.
Yeah, I don't remember his name, but yeah, he spoke like real slowly, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I did get to hear that. It was just, I mean, it was just virtue signaling. It was just, how many people of color do you have working for you? How many, are working, at the for Libra or whatever. It was, yeah. There was nothing there. There was no substance.
Well, and that's a part of that too, because I know when again, I could not find anything that went on it, but I found a news article talking about when Ayanna Presley was questioning Zuckerberg, and all she could say was, "How does Facebook affect people of color, and how is this currency going to affect people of color? Are they going to be able to be involved in this? Is this going to shut them out of the markets?"
Yeah. Well, see, it's this idea that like people are a monolith of whatever their supposed identity is, right?
Hmm.
So like white people think a certain way, and then black people think a certain way, Hispanic people think a certain way, and so you have to have them all in the same room. Otherwise, you're only going to get the same ideas over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
It's as if they're not individuals who have, separate minds that can think, separately. It's just like these are white thoughts, these are black thoughts, these are Hispanic thoughts. And it's just, even transsexual thoughts. It's
Mm-hmm.
just, or women's thoughts or whatever. It's an absolutely ridiculous mindset.
It is, and I mean, I have had the conversation with people. I mean, even over on our side, if you go even to the further right, it is a collectivist theory. I am an individualist. I am staunchly an individualist. So, no matter what group you belong to, you still have the opportunity to have any opportunity that you want, no matter
Hmm.
whether, regardless of the kind of work that you put into it. Yes, I understand that there are barriers that are put up there that, you know, that are going to stand into your way. But for the most part, it all depends on you, the effort that you want to put in, and how you
Right.
want to get there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Collectivism, collectivism is
It's
a lie.
Yeah, it's a dangerous mindset to have.
Hmm.
It's easy to think of other people that are not in your collective as subhuman. And
Hmm.
then obviously once you do that, it's easy to do terrible things to them.
You know who else has a dangerous state of mind, especially when she thinks that she's as arrogant that she can talk this way. You like my transition there?
Absolutely, that was good. That was an expert. It's like you've been doing this for years.
Instead of a duct tape production, Alexandria Ocasio Cortez got her sound bites in on everything here, and I waded through and I cut out some of the best clips out of this, and I let my head hurt from listening to her talk because, dear God. But she got some quips in there against Zuckerberg that I think that we ought to take some time and listen to. So we'll listen here. I'm going to cut in here and there as we're listening to this, but let's go ahead and see what that sounded like. Interact.
Mr. Zuckerberg, what year and month did you personally first become aware of Cambridge Analytica?
I'm not sure of the exact time, but it was probably around the time when it became public. I think it was around March of 2018. I could be wrong though.
When did Facebook COO Sheryl Sandberg become aware of Cambridge Analytica?
I don't know off the top of my
You
head.
don't know. Did anyone on your leadership team know about Cambridge Analytica prior to the initial report by The Guardian on December 11th, 2015?
Congresswoman, I believe so, and that some folks were tracking it internally.
Now, I can't believe that Cambridge Analytica is still a part of the news at this point.
Yeah, that was what, 2002, saying 2015?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
this has been done, over with. I don't
Well,
know.
like I'm gonna bring up like old news because I think it's like important for the people to hear about this. Um, yeah, yeah, that's my AOC impression. Did I do well?
You did very well on that. Well, and that's the thing of it too. I mean, two of the portions that we listened to, it's like Cortez is trying to sit here and try and paint Zuckerberg as this hugely conservative, Jesus,
Yeah,
neocon, right wing boogeyman that is the reason that we have Donald Trump in office, in spite of the fact, I mean, we all see differently.
yeah, absolutely. I saw it the other way around.
We all know it's the other way around. I mean, he's, for the most part, trying to keep all the rest of us down at this point, and he's got the big money in there. He's trying to get people like Alexandria Ocasio Cortez elected,
Yeah,
but he's going to be the scapegoat for everything that they have to say. So, and I mean, yeah, if we go on in these clips and listen a bit more, I mean, this woman is just so arrogant because she thinks she's going to take down somebody who built legitimately one of the biggest country or companies in the world
yeah,
as a freshman representative who was bartending a year ago.
absolutely.
Let's listen on.
Um, You announced recently that the official policy of Facebook now allows politicians to pay to spread disinformation in 2020 elections and in the future. So I just want to know how far I can push this in the next year. Under your policy, using census data as well, could I pay to target predominantly Black zip codes and advertise them the incorrect election date?
If you don't know what the election date is, they have signs everywhere.
Yeah.
If you are getting all of your information from Facebook, first off, you shouldn't be voting.
Right. I mean, and listen to how condescending she is too. She's like, how far can I push this? Like, say, if I want to lie about my opponent, oh my God.
Well, and I
It's
mean, she
that,
goes on and talks a bit more about the lies that could be told. Let's keep going.
No, Congresswoman, you couldn't. We have, even for these policies around the newsworthiness of content that politicians say, and the general principle that I believe that.
But you said you're not going to fact check. Could I run ads targeting Republicans in primaries saying that they voted for the Green New Deal?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
I love how I got the vibe off of that last point there. Is he looking back at her saying, "Wow, did she really just say that?"
yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, she's just sitting there just being condescending as all hell. It's ridiculous.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Yeah,
Because nobody's going to believe that you said it once.
you're right. You make sure that's what you meant to say, because, oh man.
I'm giving you an out here, woman.
Right. Please take it.
And she's pretty much going up there on the stand and admitting to the fact that she's going to lie about her opponents, and she's asking if she can do that.
Yeah. I mean, she's trying to make some kind of grand point, but it's just
Well,
not
I
working.
understand that. I understand that the grand point is to say that the Republicans are going to lie about somebody else, but
right. Yeah, no, that was the point, right? She's trying to say, oh, my opponents can lie about me, but, I mean, meanwhile, Facebook has been on their side the entire time.
absolutely the entire time. I mean, they're banishing conservatives, and I don't know how they have Warren still on their platform after all the railing she's done against them.
It doesn't matter, yeah.
But of course, now the fact checking has gone into white supremacy and racism as well. Let's finish off this clip.
So you won't take down lies, or you will take down lies? I think it's just a pretty simple yes or no.
Congresswoman,
I'm not talking about spin. I'm talking about actual
yes, in most cases,
disinformation.
in a democracy, I believe that people should be able to see for themselves what politicians that they may or may not vote for
So
are
you
saying,
won't take
judge
them
their
down.
character for themselves.
So you may flag that it's wrong, but you won't take it down. Did you?
It is not Facebook's responsibility to get the disinformation out there. I always tell you, find all the facts and draw your own conclusions. 3 sources minimum, verified.
Yeah.
Every time.
Yeah, I mean, I think we could use a little bit more, culling of the herd. Just remove the warning labels, remove, fact checking, figure it out yourself.
Disavow.
Nope, figure it out yourself.
Only because I have to.
If you're the kind who can get swindled, then you deserve to get swindled. I mean, yeah. If you're gonna buy the snake oil, then you just bought snake oil. That's on you.
Let's keep going.
You discuss so-called social media bias against conservatives, and do you believe there is a bias?
Congresswoman, so I don't remember everything that was in the question.
That's all right. I'll move on. Can you explain why you've named the Daily Caller, a publication well documented with ties to white supremacists, as an official fact checker for Facebook?
Congresswoman, sure. We actually don't appoint the independent fact checkers. They go through an independent organization called the Independent Fact Checking Network that has a rigorous standard for who they allow to serve as a fact checker.
So you would say that white supremacist tied publications meet a rigorous standard for fact checking? Thank you. Mr. Zuckerberg, what?
Yeah, that that look right at the end. It was the same thing when we heard him ask to repeat that. Did she really just say that?
Yeah. The white supremacist tide.
Since
You
when
know.
is the Daily Caller a white supremacist publication?
So I don't even think that's the takeaway here. I think the takeaway is the verbiage that they use, and it's not just her. It's it's a kind of a left thing where you can't say it's directly white supremacist. So it's white supremacist tied, or it's alt right adjacent, or something like that. So I'm not calling you a white supremacist, but I'm calling you a white supremacist. That sort of thing. It's absolutely just despicable. And yeah, the Daily Caller is not
Yeah,
white
I mean,
supremacist.
I've cited them before, and they're green check verified
Yeah, no, I mean it's was it, like a center right publication.
for the most part.
Yeah, I mean that's not far right. Like I'm sorry, just like just because you're right wing does not mean you're far right.
Well,
Even if they were, I mean that's their business.
well, then, yeah, like I said, the condescension of everything too. It's
Yeah,
I don't know what she intended to accomplish by all of this, by this line of questioning, other than again to try and get out there and say white supremacy as many times as she could.
yeah. I mean it's for the sound bites. It's so that she can say, "Look, I'm taking on white supremacy. I'm doing my job, taking down white supremacy, and doing the things I said I was going to do, and this sort of thing." She hasn't done anything
I'm owning
at
Facebook.
all. Yeah, good luck. Oh man,
And yeah, I am no fan of Facebook or Zuckerberg as well.
not
He
at all.
is. I mean, he started out. He was a very libertarian, get the government out of everything, let me build my business kind of thing. But yeah, he has completely sold out to the left, to the authoritarian side, and he's done it for money, essentially. But
Yeah.
the other end of that is, I mean, look at what he's having to go through to try and appease these people that he's been dancing for the last 3 years.
Yeah, I mean that's what you get. Like I said, if you buy snake oil, then you just bought snake oil. You deserve it. That's what he did. He danced for the left, and it's never going to be good enough.
Well,
He's going to be on the chopping block.
straight white male
Yeah,
or straight white android, one of the two.
right. Yeah, yeah.
So, does Libra continue after this, or are they going to shut it down at this point?
Oh, I'm sure it'll go somewhere. Isn't there headquarters in like Sweden or Switzerland or something like that? One of those.
I was unaware of that.
Yeah, the headquarters is over there. It's not actually here. That was part of the proceedings or part of the hearing. Was they were asking why is it overseas and not here in America?
Well, to be fair, if there's a headquarters, then it's really not a cryptocurrency anymore. It's just another piece of globalist Federal Reserve trash.
Yeah, I guess so.
Because
Yeah,
what sets not BitChute, Bitcoin aside from anything else at this point? It's
yeah, I
blockchain.
don't.
There's no centrality to it.
Yeah, I don't know that much about Bitcoin,
Nobody knows
to be
that much
honest.
about Bitcoin.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah,
Bitcoin creators don't know that much about Bitcoin.
right.
All right, let's check back in with the live chat and
Yeah,
see if anybody's joined in here. Ah, April Hart is here. Tony Lamantia is here from Twitch. Thanks for calling or checking in here. I don't have a call-in show set up. That may be something for the future, and I may or may not be in talks with somebody as being a permanent co-host. And once that happens, we might start doing a call-in show. So, and I don't have a bot in here. Anyway, if you go over on the YouTube description, my Discord is in there. But and he's got a compliment for your glasses too. So
yeah.
your
I saw
1970s
that.
Chips glasses, that's awesome. Matches your swords.
Yeah, it's true. I gotta get the whole thing,
Yeah. Uh,
all matching.
Midget B says, Ed, keep in mind that our representatives are tech illiterate, hopelessly worthless when it comes to the evolving technology of the last 2 decades.
Yeah.
I think I would reach that back to 4 decades at this point.
Yeah.
Remember all of other unsworn sessions wherein they didn't even know what questions were worth asking. Yeah, that's right. This is just for sound bites. They don't care.
Yeah, it's not about actually accomplishing something.
And Cambridge Analytica is election interference.
Yeah.
AOC is a silly thing, but the funniest part of her appearances are how the kosher conservative establishment pretend they're so afraid of her by relentlessly attacking her with desperate boomer jokes. I think we might have been
Um,
just guilty about that.
yeah, boomer jokes can be fun. Sometimes you gotta dip your toe in, you know?
The winning right doesn't care about what she has to say. We know they're going to be separating from the loons like this in the near future.
Maybe.
Yeah, we just we talked about this too. I hope you guys don't maneuver yourselves in a position where you're defending sincere Zionist Mark Zuckerberg from
No,
AOC. It's
never.
it's really hard to pick a side on that one because you can't stand either person. But
Yeah,
I
they're
mean,
both garbage.
a human is still a human and still deserves due process.
Right, but androids don't, so.
Well, no, that's not true. Did you see Measure of a Man?
No. I
Next
thought you were gonna
Generation
make a.
episode? Watch it.
Okay, yeah. I was gonna say. I thought you were gonna make a Star Trek reference, and you did. So yeah, I don't know the names of the episodes, but I have watched the series probably 3 times all the way through.
I've only done it once all the way through, and that was just recently. But there's a video circulating on YouTube about an actual lawyer that picked apart that episode I've been wanting to watch, and I haven't had a chance to.
That's interesting. Yeah, I'll have to see it.
And just before we get back into the topics here, April threw one more in there. I like the android jokes. Androids don't deserve human rights. Well, that will be something we'll be looking forward to in the near future to decide once
That's
we
right.
get to artificial intelligence. All right.
Yeah.
2020 Watch has been a bit of a slow week this week, given everything else that happened in Syria, but we've got a couple interesting points that we've got to talk about going on with the 2020 candidates. And the first thing is Biden slipping in the polls appeared to have been a fluke, and he is balancing back out, running, depending on the poll, neck and neck or slightly above Elizabeth Warren back at this point. Which surprises me because I know that she is supposed to be the pick for everybody coming into all of this.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually saw a clip earlier that was all the time CNN was saying that Warren is like the female version of Bernie. So why are people still supporting Bernie? Like it was a ton of that.
Yeah,
I don't
absolutely.
know. I don't know if it was all from the same day or what,
hmm
but it was insane. Like how many? It was different people too every time. Saying almost exactly the same thing.
And it was more than CNN too. I mean, everybody else is coming out here and saying that you're a sexist if you
Hmm.
support Bernie Sanders because I mean he's nowhere near as good as Elizabeth Warren could be because she's a woman and it's her turn.
That's right. Which is interesting. Which leads me to believe. I know. I think we were talking about it later, right? About Hillary, but
Yeah,
you would
absolutely.
think that because it's been her turn for a while since I think we decided it was '08 was when it was supposed to be her turn,
hmm
and then it just hasn't worked out for her. So that leads me to believe that kind of she might not be jumping in if they're going so hard for Warren at this point.
Well, I mean, Pod Save America came out on their show back in January. I keep citing this over and over again, and I actually have the episode saved on my computer. I was looking through some of my back files earlier today. They came out for her right away, and they said that she was the only one who could possibly beat Trump. And
Who
everybody needed to
Warren?
unify behind Warren right away back in
Warren.
January.
Interesting.
So
That is what it seems like is happening, though.
So, what is this now that's brought Biden back to the front of the polls, and are the establishments going to allow it?
I don't. I have no idea. I haven't seen anything since his whole Ukraine thing, but maybe people have forgotten about it.
Yeah, that's the other thing is how do you bounce back from that?
Yeah, I mean, I thought he was done after the corn pop story. Sorry, I wasn't serious, but that was my favorite thing he's ever done, though, the corn pop story. Um, but yeah, I don't know because he's so bland and just like there's nothing there. He's just like, remember Obama, guys? Remember?
Mm-hmm.
Like that was it. That's all he does. So I don't know. And then if he's not doing that, it's some kind of gaff. I mean, he just can't open his mouth without having some sort of gaff or saying, "Hey, I'm just like Obama."
And he's 77 years old.
Yeah, that doesn't help him either.
Warren is at least sub 70 for now.
Yeah, for now, yeah, yeah. So I mean, yeah, I think they're gonna start pushing Warren even more, unless Hillary does jump in. But I I don't know. I can't see her doing it again. But at the same time, she is crazy enough to do it.
Well, it's been slipping out from source after source this past week that she is talking about the fact that she's running, and one of her campaign advisors inadvertently slipped out the fact that, I mean, that it's in the works that she's planning on doing it, testing the waters, or at least trying to decide whether or not she has a chance to do it. So, I mean,
Yeah,
do it.
yeah. But how is that gonna work with Warren and Hillary? I think that's gonna split their votes up too much.
You think? Or do you think everybody's going to coalesce? Well, first thing you have to understand is even with Warren and Biden in, I think we are coming to a point where we're going to see a brokered convention.
Hmm.
I think the DNC is going to come out and decide this for us. And I don't think
Yeah.
I think that they're going to decide it for us anyway, because that's what they do. But I think we're actually going to have the air of a tied primary. I'm not going to lie.
That would be really interesting. And then, of course, they put up Hillary. They have to. They don't want to suicide themselves either. So they would pretty much have to. And that would, I can't, I don't know. Why would she want to go up against Trump again? I guess she's been cleared of the email stuff. So, I mean, he can bring that up, but she can just dismiss that by saying, I've been cleared.
Yeah, but there's
You
so
know?
much other dirt out there.
Yeah, but, mm, I mean, is any of it going to stick? I mean, people obviously didn't care about the emails because she got, what was it? How many more million votes? Like two or three?
There's 3 million more.
3 million more, yeah. So, I mean, people were obviously, voting for her pretty hard. So, I mean, if people didn't care about that and then she's been cleared now, they obviously didn't care about the body count or anything like that. It's just some right wing conspiracy theory anyway. So,
And see, I don't know if it was that or if it was the fact that so many of the Democrats told everyone to coalesce behind Hillary because they had to keep a person with no government experience out of the government.
yeah,
That has been the thing I've been railing on ever since Trump got elected. I've been railing on that as hard as I can because that's what they're trying to eliminate is keeping people like you or I from running.
yeah, I mean, absolutely. You got to have an insider to be president, so that way they know how it works. They know who the real boss is. Um, but yeah, I mean, another Hillary, like a Hillary Trump rematch. I don't know. She might be able to do it. As I'm just kind of working it through my head, she actually might be able to.
Well, there's two factors you have to keep in mind on there. We've got a mainstream media that's done nothing but rail against the president that he came since he came in.
Right.
But we've also got a presidential base at this point that is both grown and hardened because we actually have a policy that we can carry against. We've
Yeah,
seen the
I
tax
mean,
cuts work. We've seen the Turkey thing work. We've seen the temporary denuclearization of North Korea, even though that's coming back around. We've seen results out of this.
yeah, yeah, that's true. And I mean, I'm probably going to vote for Trump, this time around. So I mean, there's got to be other people like me as well. Who I mean, I voted Gary Johnson in the
Mm-hmm.
last, because I didn't want to vote for either. But yeah, no, this time I would have to, especially if Hillary came back, I would have to vote Trump, which sucks. I really want to vote Libertarian, really do, but they don't make it easy.
Uh,
Yeah,
all right. Well, you've been here a couple times before. You know what I'm going to ask you.
Yeah.
So, first question, statistically, what we've seen in the news the past week and the past months, and what we see in polling right now, who do you think becomes the Democrat nominee for 2020?
I'm gonna have to go with Warren unless Hillary jumps in.
Okay. Now, say Trump strokes out for whatever reason and Pence can't pull anything back together before 2020. You have to have one of the people who is declared as your president.
Mm.
Who do you
So
want
one
to
of
be
the
as? Which Democrat do you want to be as your president?
Tulsi Gabbard. I
Tulsi
don't think she'll
Gabbard,
make it, but
Coconut Mommy.
yeah, I don't think she would make it, but she's the least evil of all of them.
The lesser of 17 evils.
Yeah, that's right. And it hurts to say, it really does. There was a time where I was naive enough to think that a third party would stand a chance and that, someone with some actual morals might stand up one day, but I don't know.
Do you think she throws in on the third party after this? I know she came out originally and said she wasn't going to, but now she's suspended her House re-election. So
Yeah. Yeah, I think it would be the best move for her, but I don't think she would win if she did. I don't think she could pull enough votes.
I think she would guarantee Trump's re-election if she did.
Yeah, she
That would
very well might.
schism the Democrat Party right then and there.
Yeah, that's true. Absolutely. I didn't think of that.
All right, last question. As always, no statistics, no policy prescriptions, just for the pure entertainment of the debates and the popcorn eating that comes with the debates. Who do you want to see debate Trump for the 2020 election? Who do you want to
Oh,
see run against him?
Bernie. Yeah, I want to see the grandpa shouting so they can shout it at each other.
The
That'd
grandpa
be
shouting in the
amazing.
New England accents.
Grandpa shouting match. Yep. Yeah, that'll be a lot of fun.
Not an R to be heard anywhere on the stage.
Right. It's true.
All right, let's
Oh
check
man.
back in with the live chat. Looks like I didn't have much come up here. I don't have anything come up here from the last topic here. So let's move on to the climax of the show, and that comes on from a story that came in out of Texas. It actually came out of Texas a few
Mm.
months ago, but now that we're coming to the end of the story, now we're getting a decision out of this. So,
Mm.
during a divorce a couple months ago, the question was raised as to whether or not there would be joint custody or sole custody from one parent or another, and the mother of the twins decided that she wanted sole custody because the father was abusive. His crime was forcing his son, who identified as a girl, to live as a boy while he was at their house. Now, this has been going on, and I talked about this with my guest when this was first in the news, but it fell out of the news, and not a lot of people talked about it. And now it's back in the news again because the decision is coming down. It appears that there is going to be joint custody, and there's not going to be any medical decisions that are allowed to be made while the how did I want to put this? There can't be any medical decisions made without both parents consenting to this, which would take out any sort of hormone therapy or gender reassignment surgery.
Well, that's a positive at least, sort of.
But what have you seen on this so far?
Honestly, I've only kept up with it with Beauty and the Beta.
Hmm.
So what they've said is what they've shown is what I've seen.
And I didn't
I
catch the
haven't
show
really.
last night, so you might have to catch me up on that.
Yeah. Yeah. So there was an interview with the father.
Hmm.
And he was talking about how like he's legally required to watch his child be abused in front of his eyes,
Hmm.
and it was really sad. I recommend you go watch it. But yeah, no, it's a terrible terrible thing that they're doing to him. And they had an interview with the kid. I guess the father was recording the conversation with the son,
Hmm.
and he's saying, are you a boy? And he's like, no, I'm a girl. And all this kind of stuff. It was really sad to see.
It is. It's a little disturbing to see as well. I mean, my nephew is about that age, about the same age as this kid, and I mean, from the outset, there aren't really any physical identifiers once they're clothed between the boys and girls. So, I mean, it is all mindset, but we're looking down into the future of what's going to happen to this kid when he grows up.
Unfortunately, I think suicide, like so many other cases like this, it's gonna end in suicide, and it's the worst possible outcome. Obviously, um, absolutely terrible. The best possible outcome, obviously, would be that he grows out of it and is able to get away from his mother, who's doing that to him. But short of that, yeah, I think it's gonna end in suicide.
Have you heard Crowder talk about this? Because he railed on this one pretty hard this past
Um, I
Thursday show.
I meant to watch the video that he put up afterwards, but I haven't gotten around to it yet.
Because I mean, the part of the basis that the mother is using to claim that this child is transgendered and needs to be wearing girl clothes and identifies as a girl was, for starters, he chose the Frozen toys at McDonald's when Frozen was a big thing, and
Right.
they have another clip where they were asking him why he thought he was a girl, and he popped up and he said, "I love girls."
Mm, hmm. I mean, that could mean a number of things
Well,
from, what is he,
absolutely, it could.
7?
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, that could mean a number of things. But
one could
yeah,
argue that I
that's
loved girls when I was in my 20s too.
right, exactly.
Very much so.
Yeah, but yeah, no, it's just a very, very sad story all around. I'm not even sure what else to add, just because like I couldn't imagine doing that to someone, especially a child. There's just no way,
I don't know.
to want and
It
to
is a
want to
disturbing
want.
idea. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like the mom just wanted a boy and a girl,
Yeah.
and got two boys.
Well, that's not even his mom either. That's the other
Yeah,
twist on this story. But I don't like the way that people are talking about that either. I'm not going to lie about it one bit. Because I know people who have raised other people's children and they're raising them as their own. So, I
yeah,
mean, who has biological linking to somebody isn't always going to be the father.
yeah.
I've
I
been,
mean, she had wasn't it like she had someone else's egg, but it was the father's sperm,
yeah,
and she
no, they had an
carried
egg
it.
donor for that because she was infertile.
Right. So, I mean, I wouldn't say that it's not her child, even though biologically it's not. She did carry the child to term, and yeah. So I wouldn't go that route.
No, and absolutely not. I wouldn't either. I've been engaged twice. My first fiance has never met her real father.
Mm,
She knows who he is, but never met him. And the man that she called dad came in when she was, I think, 2 years old.
yeah.
She has his last name. He's raised her. He's been every part of her life. That is his daughter by all rights in my eyes,
Yeah, hundred
even though he
percent.
has no biological connection to her.
Right. Absolutely.
So, yeah, I don't like that argument. That is the mother's child, but you know what the worst part about this is? The mother's a
What?
child psychologist,
Yeah.
or
Yeah. She knows
psychiatrist rather. She's a
exactly.
medical doctor.
Yeah, she knows exactly how to manipulate him the right way.
Not only that, I mean, she studies childhood diseases, and she's not considering gender dysphoria to be a disease. It's in
Yeah,
the
it's not
DSM
anymore.
five.
Wasn't it removed a year or two ago?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. So
That is
it's
true.
officially not anymore. That you can just change things like that. I don't know. Yeah, no, I feel really bad for this kid and the father especially.
Well, and this story does still have some moving parts as well because Governor Abbott down in Texas has announced that he is going to be taking up an appeal for this to see if they can get sole custody for the child for his father.
That would be what's best for him. Yeah.
And the worst part about this is the woman is, because you said she wanted to have one boy and one girl. She's not subjecting the other twin to any more of this. So it's
Yeah.
focused one to the other.
Yeah. And it reminds me of that one experiment that was done where, there were the twins and they raised the one kid as a girl and the other one as a boy. And he had all kinds the one that was being raised as a girl had all kinds of psychological issues. And
Hmm.
by the time he was like 12 or 13, he was allowed to be a boy again and he felt right, at that point. But then it ended up taking his own life. And then the brother ended up committing suicide as well later on because of what was done. I guess how they were raised or whatever.
I
Just
think they made a Law and Order episode about that too.
I'm sure, yeah,
Oh,
but
they rip everything from there from the headlines, but I seem to remember that. I can almost picture the actors.
yeah, fair enough. But yeah, I mean that's just like I said, it's gonna end in suicide, or unless the father gets sole custody, then it's not too late to you know get the kid back to normal.
Well, Matt Walsh
I
brings up
guess.
an interesting thing. I mean, I am older now. I don't have any. Well, I've got my younger nieces and nephews, but they live on the other side of
Mhm.
the state. But I mean, for the most part, and all Robert's kids are older. I don't know what your child situation is, but
I don't have any that I know
does
of.
does a 7-year-old know the difference between a boy and a girl?
um, I would say so. Yeah, I would say they would.
I don't
I don't
know.
know. I don't know if they would know like what it would feel like to be the other one. I mean, I don't think anyone can, right? Unless you actually have gender dysphoria.
Well, okay, I'll walk that back for a second because okay, by 7 they may start to know what the difference is, but they started this journey with James at 3 years old, and at 3 years old you
Mm,
don't know what the difference is.
absolutely not. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely not.
The difference between a mommy and daddy is mommy usually wears tighter pants and has longer hair. Although that was not the case in
Yeah.
the house I grew up in.
Oh,
My
really?
dad was a product of the 70s and he carried
That's
his
awesome.
long hair up until 2006. He
That is
cut it.
awesome. Wow.
I actually had, you've seen the picture. I actually had long hair too myself.
Did I? I don't remember. It
I'll
was how
find it
long ago
again.
was it? Okay, cool.
I'll
I
find
think
it
I think I
again.
do remember a picture though. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, other than that, unless you have anything else, I think that's all that I have right now.
No, I think we're good.
We'll do one more check in with the live chat here.
Yeah.
Um, April. Apparently, Big Cat Kayla is mad that April didn't link this. April, speaking of boomers, I just had to help someone fix their TV. Are we doing the rescan thing again? Because I keep hearing about that on the radio.
Doing the
Kayla's
what?
advertising your stream. Biggest fan spotted.
Nice.
Black female judge. That must be the judge that was going on the custody hearing. Was black
Mm,
female judge.
gotcha.
You just walk in and see that. You say to yourself, "Well, I'm fucked."
Well, I'm fucked. Yeah.
Dissident Bones just showed up. I know we're running. I'm running a little bit early because John's got to do his show. Otherwise, we probably would have been closer to the 6:15 I usually do. But welcome in onto the end, and you can always go back and catch the on demand again. Thanks for supporting the show, everybody. And we've got the outro here. And there's always one question that I do ask all of the guests before we take off for the day. And that's because everything is so contentious. We have to argue over whether or not a 7-year-old can identify gender or whether or not AOC or Zuckerberg is in the right and horrible things like that. So we always try to end the show on a positive note. So, John, tell us about a hobby that you have that has nothing to do with work or politics. It could be an album that you've picked up, an instrument you like to play, or just something that helps you wind down at the end of the day.
Yeah, I actually haven't played bass in a while, but like to practice HEMA. It's a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Historical European martial arts, a lot of sword stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And for the past year and a half, I've been learning a second language. It's been very frustrating, but very rewarding as well.
What language?
Irish.
Yeah, you were talking a little bit about that on your history stream, so.
Yeah. Yep. It's like I said, it's very frustrating to learn because it doesn't have any kind of basis in Latin
Okay.
like Spanish and Italian might. So you can kind of pick it up here and there, but there's absolutely no basis in Irish. You just kind of have to go word by word and learn the vocabulary and grammar.
Well, we can express our frustrations together because my girlfriend is a sign language interpreter for a school, and I've been learning American Sign Language little by
Oh yeah,
little.
how's that going?
We just started last week, so
Oh, gotcha. Do you have the alphabet down yet?
no.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Excuse me. Well, I want to thank the audience for taking the time to check this show out. Thanks for listening to us ramble on about these topics. If you have anything more that you want to add to the topics that wasn't in the live chat and you want to finish the conversation with me, you can find me over on Twitter. That is at edsblogtwitter with a 1 in place of the I. You can email me. That's edsblogtwitter@gmail.com, or you can leave it down in the comments section below. If you want to finish the conversation with John, why don't you tell us where they can find you?
Yeah, you can, YouTube is the generational gap. We'll actually be doing a show here in about in that 2.5 hours.
Okay.
So you can check us out. We'll be live. Then we do another show on. Well, we usually do it on Fridays, but this week we're having it on Thursday because we're doing a Halloween special. We'll be raising money for St. Jude's Children's Hospital, and I believe Ed's going to be showing up at some point during it.
Bet your ass.
So yeah, make sure you check that out. We're gonna have a lot of fun. Um, and yeah, you can find us on Twitter at the Gen Gap P. And if you check any of our descriptions for our videos, you can see we have a Discord link in there,
Mhm.
and so you can join our Discord server. It gets kind of fun in there sometimes. Ed can tell you.
I can.
Yeah, and we've also got the D Live link. I believe is in your description there,
Mhm.
Ed.
Yep.
So yeah, you can check us out on D Live. We've got some other streaming platforms lined up, but I don't want to show them yet until we've worked out all the kinks.
And that is all linked down in the description below, so make sure you go and check that out. And thanks for checking us out over on YouTube, DLive, Twitch, Facebook, and Twitter. And if you couldn't catch the show live, you can catch it back on demand on YouTube, on Twitter, on Facebook, and you can also check us out on demand over on BitChute. Or every Tuesday morning, the show is available on the audio platforms. We're on iTunes, Stitcher, and Google Play. Remember, if you are over on iTunes, leave us that 5-star rating and a good review. That helps us move up the charts and reach new people. Lastly, go over there and check out freedomscoop.com, where this video will always be posted, where John's videos are always posted, and where Stephen Ignoramus's videos are always posted. Check us out there, and if you have any interest in writing for a free speech platform, reach out to either myself or Jake, and we will see what we can do to get you on the platform. So we always say on this show, never take the words of bloggers, podcasters, or journalists as gospel. Find all the facts and draw your own conclusions. John, you have last word.
Well, I agree with what you just said there, except for me. You can trust me. Look at this face. How can you not trust this face? No. Yeah, absolutely.
Take care, everyone.
See you guys.